Oh, hang on, let me turn myself around. I messed up. I already put the tea in my cup.
Cheers, Taylor.
Cheers. Cheers, Tina. Cheers, everybody. I'm just going to find my way to my seat and hope this, yeah. There we go.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Taylor.
Aloha. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to, oh, I'm forgetting our whole thing. Brain farting.
It's
Aloha,
okay.
welcome, everyone. This is tea time, and I'm TayTay.
And I'm TiTi. And it's a tea time.
Our intention with tea time is to meet once a month and share our experiences and wisdom and create community around topics on the holistic lifestyle as well as a raw vegan diet. And today's episode is episode 4. We've done 3 of these. Kind of awesome. Magical 4. What shall come forward? And today's topic is raw shadow work. Hardcore. Hardcore. I wore my black shirt and everything.
Me too. Oh my gosh. I'm going to take off my jacket. I'm wearing my shadowy shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be that kind of day. So, Tina, just to get started, everyone, like, welcome. I see people, like, pouring in the chat. Hello, soul family. Like, welcome here. Welcome to all the brave ones who are ready to get into this, because this is important and this isn't talked about because, oh, it's in the shadow, right? And that's the problem with the shadow. It's in the shadow. So we're bringing that to light, and it's definitely a co-creative process, you know, with everyone who is choosing to do this work with us. So really, really appreciate everyone being here and going deep with us. So just to get started and kind of set our gratitude vibration, what are you grateful for today, Tina?
I am very grateful for this warm cup in my hand. It's warming my body. And I'm especially grateful for my presence practice today. It's helping me become unattached to the things I am feeling attached to. So I'm letting go, letting it sink in, trying to have patience, and it's really helping me. How about you, Taylor?
Nice. I hope we'll get to hear more about your presence practice, hopefully today.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I am feeling grateful for the existence of this sacred container we are all creating together. This is phenomenal. I've got a couple like guest stars in the house. Like, this is the crystal that wanted to be a part of this talk, the shadow work crystal. This is quartz and tourmaline. And as you can see, it's light and dark, right? Shadow and light. So she's going to be a part of this, as well as I'm very grateful. I have an animal guide and a spirit animal totem protector right outside my door. Actually, in the front doorway, when you walk in my place, there is a spider who made a web in the left-hand corner of the doorway. This black spider. I don't know if it's poisonous or what, but she's beautiful. And anytime there's like an animal that enters my space or my awareness, I like to like reflect on what the medicine is, like what's the message. And even before I looked at it, I was like talking to her, and she was like, "I'm Spider Woman," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's what's up." Like Spider Man, no, this is Spider Woman, and she's a protector. She is a guardian of those who are doing the shadow work. She's a facilitator of the shadow work. She's a supporter, she's a helper, she's an aid. So I definitely feel her presence has really assisted me in my own shadow work, and I think she will help this conversation today. So shout out to Spider Woman for being a part of this transmission we got going on too.
Mm.
Yeah, and like a gazillion things more. I'm really feeling the gratitude vibration um, in my heart right now. So yeah,
Yay to
yeah.
guide animals and spirits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Tina, what does shadow work mean to you?
Well, if the light is shining on things that we can see, I feel like partly shadow work is working with the things that are either harder to see or we don't want to see. We tend to fight, or sometimes it can be things that people judge as negative or bad, but actually it's just, to me, all feedback, and it's working with the elements that are maybe lower vibrational or yeah, it's like the part of the spectrum of being that is on the kind of like lower vibrational, darker side, things that people judge, things that maybe people avoid, people, you know, things that are sometimes painful, things that are yeah, things that, and sometimes it's even working with things we don't see and like getting help to see the blind spots, the parts that we don't see at all. So getting help to even see is part of shadow work, I think, too. How about you, Taylor? What do you think, or what's your interpretation of it?
Yeah. I really like what you said there. On the lower end spectrum of being, it's that stuff we don't want to see, we don't want to work with. And, you know, I first have to acknowledge that it's there and like ask to see, you
Mm.
know. And I also really like what you said about getting help too. Um, yeah, that's potent, spot on. Um, I wrote down things because I
After
got
you told
really
me not to.
what?
No, I'm just kidding. I said after you told me not
Yeah,
to.
well, you said you hadn't, and I was like, don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
Yeah.
Like, but I did,
Awesome.
and neither's right or wrong, right?
Yeah.
But I did write down things that I've been thinking about this a lot before Tina, um, you know, mentioned this as a topic. Like this has been really prominent in my life lately. It's been really next level. I've been thinking about it a lot, feeling into it a lot, and really seeking to understand the process of how it works, what it means, how it could be implemented on all levels and healed on all levels. Um, because we'll get into it later, there are kind of different levels of shadow work you can do, and all are valid, all are great. You know, the point is to start. So I wrote down 3 different ways you could I see shadow work, what it means to me. And the first one is like the simplest, like kind of distilled down. Maybe I should wait. I think I'll start with that one, just kind of set the vibe. So it gets like deeper and deeper. But and this is also kind of like a Buddhist spin on it too. I was thinking of my teacher Pema Chodron and like what she would say shadow work is. So shout out Ani Pema. Um, Shadow work is curiosity plus awareness plus compassion.
Mm.
Um, it also is you have to be curious and like be asking to see it, right? And asking what does it mean, like non-judgmentally too, so that you can actually see what needs to be seen. Because if it's like judgment becomes a block to the shadow work. Judgment is like, yeah, trying to get you not to do shadow work actually. Awareness is necessary, right? To see what's coming up, what's in the shadow, like light of awareness, shine it out, shine it out. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm doing it. Um, and then there's that compassion piece again, compassion with oneself throughout the whole process, because the self-critic comes in, the inner critic, the judge, the beating yourself up about what you see. That's just gonna like make the shadow bigger and not allow the integration happen. And as a result of shadow work, properly implemented, you're gonna have so much more compassion for other people, because you really like understood, what's going on for you, how does all this work and fit together, and then like having more understanding and tolerance for other people and like where they're at and what they're going through and what they're probably not even aware of and how much pain that's probably causing them too. So compassion, it all works together. The second one is more psychological, because I have a what do I want to say? An academic background in psychology, in my undergrad, in my graduate training. And it's just also been of like great personal interest to me. So what I wrote down for this one is shadow work is holding space for the self, for oneself, to shine the light of conscious awareness on subconscious material as it comes up in real time. In other words, making the subconscious conscious, and the subconscious meaning patterns, thought loops, repressed aspects of self or ego, compartmentalized feelings, those lower vibrational feelings Tina was talking about, and becoming consciously aware of these, what's stored below the waters, of consciousness, right? If you imagine consciousness as iceberg, this is like the classic drawing. The tip of the iceberg is conscious awareness. And then everybody knows, since watching the movie Titanic, obviously, the iceberg is much bigger as it goes down. It's like a whole mountain, and it's just like almost infinite, right? It's like really a whole lot there. And that's what the psychologists say about the subconscious. It's like what's underneath the surface. So becoming consciously aware of what's in the subconscious to integrate parts into a healthy whole ego. That would be using psychological speak. And what you might find in those repressed places, something I found recently, I can talk about this later, is an ancestral anger implant, for example, was there. It was like an anger mass that had been repressed. Third way, energetic. Because y'all know I'm a Reiki person, like I'm a crystal person. Okay. I see energy and work with energy. So shadow work is the partially intact soul retrieving, reclaiming, and restoring soul fragments that splintered, fractured, broke, or split off from your intact soul due to trauma, abuse, programming, or pain. And as the integrity and functional wholeness of the soul is restored within the sacred container of the body, then spirit, the divine, God, source, higher consciousness, can enter the body via the soul to allow all kinds of good stuff I'm sure we'll get into later. But some of these soul fragments, you might be like, what the heck is a soul fragment? Sexuality, right? Everybody's got it. A lot of people splinter it off for whatever reason, due to trauma, due to sexual abuse a lot of the time, or unwanted attention. Femininity, you know, like certain aspects of gender identity, femininity, masculinity, can be soul fragmented off. And then one other that came to me this morning was the freaking inner child, fragmented, split off, shipped off. So that's the third one. Those are my three levels of shadow work to Taylor via the guides, because like Taylor knows like maybe a little bit of that, but like the guides were like, this is how it goes. This is how it works. Yeah.
So I just wanted to share with everyone who's like popped on and just joining the conversation that we're just kind of sharing what our definitions of shadow work is, but our main intention today is to focus on sharing our personal journeys with it and really honoring other people's privacy in sharing story and remembering to focus on ourselves in order just to be vulnerable and share how this has affected our journey on a raw food lifestyle. And so we've both kind of touched upon what we view shadow work as, and what I've heard from you, Taylor, right now is that there's the energetic aspects that you're attuned to, and then also the ancestral, and then also the subconscious kind of manifesting from physical to mental to emotion, like all of that. And I feel like I might have forgotten one.
Yeah, like
sum it up.
Psychological, energetic, and then just like the distilled down version.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you were getting it.
Okay.
Thanks for grounding us.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that we were just kind of going through this cycle of like what does that look, because we want to know. We're gonna have a conversation right now, and we're gonna share like why is this important in a raw food lifestyle? Why are we even talking about this, and how has it affected us personally? Like, what kind of work have we done, and how have we worked through things? And also, I'm curious, like, what people hear, like, as we go along. Feel free to chime in on your thoughts, and like maybe even methods you've used, like, or anything pertinent to what we're saying, and we'll try to include it in the conversation. We can even have maybe like a Q&A at the end, or just where we're more engaging with all of you all. But I guess to flow into the next area, like, how shall we explore this, Taylor?
I was thinking, like, why do it? Why bother?
Okay.
Yeah. Why do you do it?
Yeah. Why do I do it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I have a perfect example. I guess this is very appropriate for this video because I have a canker sore on my body. I have a canker sore on my lip, and that's a physical manifestation of me ignoring my vitality levels, and it trickled through from mental, emotional and energetic to physical because I wasn't working with it. So I think that shadow work is highly important. Number one, for healing, because disease will manifest whether it's mental and emotional, or it actually translates to the physical reality. Like, I was feeling highly stressed because of the way I was approaching a mental aspect in my life. And then I didn't, it culminated in many different areas. And finally, one night, I just didn't sleep at all. And it was this straw that broke the camel's back, and my body was just like, oh, I'm so fatigued. And when my body's super stressed, I get canker sores. And so it was for me, when it comes out into the physical, it's like, I don't want to be sick. I want to recognize my wholeness. I want to align with reality. I want to harmonize with reality and what is. And I think that's one of my top intentions in life is to love. And so when I'm out of balance, it's showing me like, hey, you're not tuning into the present, like you're not tuning into the signs. Like how can I rebalance and work with what is in a way that harmonizes with reality? And so for me, that meant sleeping more, like addressing my mental approach towards the stressor that I was relating to socially, and I'm being very vague, but um, yeah, it was like a social relationship problem that I was having because I was avoiding dissatisfaction in my life, and I kept pushing it under instead of being like, how can I fully address my needs? But finally, the reason I like to do shadow work and look at things that maybe I don't want to is because it shows up in my life. Like it can show up as me not showing up fully in a business, or me not showing up fully for my family and relationships, or for myself, like self-neglect. And so all those aspects were shadow until I put light on it. Like they're actually not negative or positive. They're just called shadow because I haven't put my awareness on it with the light and seen the object of what it is. And like you said, without judgment, lovingly look at it without attachment or aversion. And just really look at what the message is that it's trying to show me. And for me, for instance, this physical manifestation was me not looking at me in one aspect of my life, showing up as an adult and asking for my needs and actually claiming my needs for fear of losing the thing that I was afraid of. So it's shadow work is just actually, I think, looking at things, and I do it because we need to look at everything, and not everything at once, but look at the things that need looking at in order
one at a time.
In order to thrive, in order to live well, in order to live in harmony. Do you have any things you'd like to add to that, or like why you like to do shadow work?
I love how you grounded it in your example, your real life example, and also just highlighting the fact that shadow work that needs to be done manifests as physical illness, as physical dis-ease, as mental illness, as mental dis-ease. It does that. It totally does that. Yeah. And any kind of like suffering is an invitation to do some shadow work too. And in addition to any kind of like, the physical measures that need to be taken and that kind of thing, but like really, really being able to address the root cause, and see clearly what the root cause is, and like get really, really honest with yourself about that. I think, it's absolutely necessary. For me, how it manifested big time was mental illness, was depression, anxiety, loneliness, addiction, more on that spectrum. Some physical things as well, like problems with my weight, problems with thyroid, problems with like my wrist, like a lot of different physical things too. So it was everything. But starting that process of shadow work, like that was such a big, that I guess I feel like maybe I'm a little unique in that my spiritual awakening coincided with my like beginning shadow work, coincided with going vegan, like all at once. Like it all happened at once, and so much healing has happened as a result of all of that, like synergizing together, you know. One step at a time, one issue at a time, not too much at once. I think also like understanding it's a process too.
Yeah,
Like
for
it is
sure.
definitely a process. Like I've been in this 9 years, and I'm so glad I've been doing it 9 years. I look back, I'm like, whoa, like things were really messed up. Like now I feel like I'm living the life that I want, and I'm whole. I'm so much more whole, and I feel alive because as I was explaining the energetics of how I see it, my soul is intact in my body. And I recently have been able to reclaim some of these fragmented parts of my soul, and the inner child, the sexuality, and the femininity, especially. And then also, um, so another thing that's coming up that I want to express is, which you were saying, like how the shadow work is neither good nor bad, like what's in the shadow, it's just in the dark, you're not aware of it. Um, and even like going beyond that, like it's actually the way I've been seeing it lately is like it's jewels, like it's in terms of the soul fragments, it's like these aspects of yourself that once you integrate, you feel that wholeness, you feel that aliveness. Or it's something like I found this anger, ancestral anger abuse implant is how I conceptualized it and saw it, that was like this black like spear mass thing that was deep, and it was tight, and it was locked in, and it stored all the anger that I ever felt, um, and wasn't being dealt with, but then would explode whenever I was triggered. And when I was triggered different ways, it was resulting in like the addiction and the depression and the anxiety and these kind of things. So it was like a really root thing. But being able to do the shadow work to see that, and become aware of what it is, and then know how to heal it from there, and to release it and stop that cycle. By doing the shadow work, it empowers me to stop these cycles that have been passed down from generation to generation, through ancestors, through all these human carriers that often don't have the best of intentions and don't want to be passing this down, but they are passing it down. And to be able to become aware of it now and stop perpetuating that cycle, and instead live in love, like live with the intention of love, and cultivating more light and love, and sowing seeds of love and light in the world, which I think if you're here, that's probably what you're about. I mean, that is like the most rewarding, I think, use of a human life,
Mm-hmm.
that's available. It's available. It's right here.
That's really
Yeah.
beautiful. I feel like what you just said reminds me of when I also had a similar experience where I uncovered a shadow I wasn't aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the reason I got to it was because I was doing this I don't want to go into all the technique kind of things yet, but it reminded me of when I was doing a vision quest, and I cut out all these distractions that are normally distractions, a bunch of different aspects, and it made me see the same thing. Like I had this anger welled up I had been avoiding, and what you said is making me remember, like, this is so pertinent to a raw food lifestyle, because when we go from cooked vegan to raw vegan, it's not just like, oh, I'm going from omnivore to vegetarian or vegetarian to vegan. It's like, it feels like all of those combined in this huge leap, because the feeling and the sensations of everything I'm sensitized to becomes exponentially augmented. So when going on a raw food lifestyle, I feel like I've felt my emotions more intensely. I can see my thoughts even more clearly, and even physical sensations more clearly, and other things like spiritual too. But to keep it kind of like in this little realm is like, with the raw food lifestyle, the shadow will be seen, because the cooked food it's not good or bad, it's just it desensitize it. The raw food sensitizes, so it makes us, or at least me, feel like I really see things, everything's more amplified. And if we don't have the right tools, that actually can be traumatizing for someone. Like if you're depressed, and besides the whole, only if you deal with it by fighting it. If you deal with it by separating from it and saying, I don't want that there, I don't want to look at that, I'm fighting it, I'm going to suffer, then, and seeing it as this enemy, then it can cause more trauma, I think. And if someone's depressed and then they all of a sudden see all their thoughts that are creating that depression, letting go of all the biochemistry part of it, because it could help with a raw food diet, but like if you're operating from a mental operating system that disconnects you from all of reality and life and love and others and yourself, if you're operating from those mental aspects, it will be even more amplified, like on a raw lifestyle. So it's real. I think this is a conversation that's really needed, because it's why people go back to cook sometimes, or why they even go lower vibration on the food scale, or stay raw but go to other addicting habits. Like I had a movie addiction for a while. I would go to the movie theater all the time, where I would, you know, avoid myself, because and sometimes that's an act of compassion, but it's like because we don't have the tool yet maybe to work with it, or like the right mentality. But once we do, it's such a gift. And so I think I just wanted to mention that, what you were saying about all of a sudden feeling the anger and seeing that ancestral plug, you know, it's like it can be re-shocking to you if you don't lovingly relate with it, I think.
I feel like the raw food diet allowed me to see it so clearly. You know, being raw, being sensitized, I was like, whoa, what is this anger? Like, this isn't me, this isn't mine. And I was aware that when the anger was coming out at the same time that these various core beliefs were being triggered, and like depression and anxiety was setting in too, as I was not dealing with the anger, and it was driving like the core beliefs triggered by this person's action. This person would say something that was neither good nor bad, but it was giving me certain messages. And those messages were triggering certain core beliefs. And those core beliefs were producing depression, anxiety, anger, but mostly anger. The anger was being lodged in this block. And then because it was being lodged there, it would just like kind of diffuse a bit as depression and anxiety. Oh, I'm burning my hair, y'all. I have a candle back here. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. I just totally like have been giving myself a little bit of a little haircut. I'm on fire, y'all.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Okay. All right. Yeah, let go of what no longer serves. Apparently a little less of this. Okay. Lesson learned.
That's a good metaphor. You smelled the smoke, you know, the shadow, and it was like, hey, something else is going on, but the shadow is like the aftermath of what the core problem is, and the core problem is the fire, or like the core problem, like you were talking about, you know, was the relationship, the type of environment you were in, and then maybe triggering the actual core beliefs that weren't in alignment. Now you're aware. That's funny.
Now I'm aware, y'all. Now I'm aware. Can put that away. But yeah, that anger, it really, the package wasn't storing it fully. It was being diffused as anxiety and depression. And those feelings of anxiety, depression, and the anger all lodged in there was then compelling me to overeat. It was compelling me to like eat more than I needed, to like binge behaviors, like stuff it down, because the anger packet, like it's hard to keep that in. Like it's difficult. And to just reduce those feelings of those uncomfortable feelings of depression, anxiety. I kept seeing okay, there's an anger flare, there's a this numbing behavior being triggered. How does this all fit together? And getting really curious about it with compassion, and that's when it's able to come to the surface. But this is within the context of a raw vegan diet. I used to do this, and it would be like different addictions, drugs and alcohol, really some serious dark times. So and during those serious dark times, I was just powerless too. I was just like at the whims of these subconscious drives and patterns. Whereas now on a raw diet, sensitized, aware, more tools in my toolkit, I can see much more in real time what's actually going on and work with it, face it. Like you were saying, I love what you said about don't make it your enemy. Don't make the feelings your enemies. They're actually your friends. They show me things I need to see. They show me things I need to heal, that I'm ready to heal because I can see them too, and because I'm wanting to see them. So, and that they're like, hey, you can heal me now. You can feel me. You can heal me. You can release me. You're ready. You got this. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll step in the fire if I have
to. Yeah, making those things your ally. Like what you're just saying reminds me of like how emotions, physical illness or feedback or behavior that maybe feel dysfunctional and it's not creating more harmony or love in your life. I mean, subtly it might be, but for the long term, it might not be. It might be a coping mechanism. Those are like all signs. I think those are all like the candle behind you, like waking you up and trying to get your attention. And it can start subtly as the emotions first, I think. Like, why am I feeling off all the time? Or like, why am I depressed? Or why am I angry? Why am I so dissatisfied? Like, and it's the emotions are our allies. They're like our, they're asking us to look at something, and then if we ignore it and ignore it, it will somatically come up in our body or in our physical environment or relationships. And when things are just all out of whack, it's like, it's asking us to wake up. And I think there's this one, I think we might have talked about it once before, but one time somebody told me this and I really loved it. And it was like, someone's knocking on your door, right? And they're trying to tell you there's a robber coming to your house. They're maybe like a block away. And so they're knocking and you're like, why is that person knocking at my door? Won't they just be quiet? And so you ignore them, right? You put up your music or you take the pharmaceutical pill, right? To stop the knocking. And then the robber's in your driveway. And so the person starts pounding on your door, like, hey, get out here. Someone's about to rob your house.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't want to hear that. I'm just going to go drink alcohol. I'm going to go watch Netflix. Or I'm just going to tune out, right? I don't want to hear you pounding on my door. And then, the shadow's like coming, like trying to like bang down the door. And then, it's actually become the robber. The robber gets in and causes the harm. But I feel like all these shadow aspects are things trying to get our attention and warn us or like teach us the lesson that maybe we don't know yet, or maybe we have other beliefs that are fighting that belief. Like one belief is that our body can actually strive to harmonize and wants to be at homeostasis and health. And that's its operating. And if we don't believe that, we're going to think it's innately wrong. And we're always going to be tweaking it with drugs and surgeries and things. And maybe sometimes those things serve. I don't want to like put a blanket statement on it. But for the most part, like our body, I think, is trying to strive to heal and operate at the loving level of harmony. And imbalancing one thing is then just going to whack out and imbalance another area. And it's like, okay, I'm going to make my door metal so the guy can't pound as loud because it's not wood. But still the same thing is still coming. The cause of whatever that dis-ease is, whether it's a physical thing, emotional, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that door, like reinforcing the door is like symptom reduction, right? It's
Yeah.
not getting the root cause. I love that metaphor.
Mm.
That's really potent. And yeah, I think that the shadow, like the shadow on the door knocking, it starts like lightly, politely. It's more subtle, and then it gets louder and louder with thoughts. So it starts with the feelings, with the thoughts, with the behavior, with the outer environment, with the body, in some kind of order like that. That might not be the exact order, but it gets louder and louder from subtle to like, okay, like you're now unable to walk or get out of bed, or you have some kind of serious health crisis or mental health crisis, and it's like so loud then that like you got to get help, right? And that's the thing, like that help might not be able to really help you either,
Yeah.
you know
Or
but
yeah,
you
or it does
can.
it in the short term, but then it's
Right,
creating long-term pain or something.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
And these things, the shadow too, it's like it will keep coming back around and around, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. Like you think you've healed something fully, you might not have. It may come back around again and one more time. And that's why I like to really, I found I've had to really go deep and like heal it on all the levels, and really become aware of it on all the levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, use all the tools. Shall we get into tools? You want to?
Yeah. And can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
I don't want to forget this. So I want to remember it and say it
Mm-hmm.
now. I feel like a lot of people bypass the shadow. So like they'll take the shadow that was knocking at the door, they'll open the door, throw it out of the way, and then like go shoot the robber or call the police or something.
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
but what I feel has worked in my experience is to actually look at the shadow, look it in the eyes. That was the person knocking at the door. Look them in the eyes, say, wow, I see you. Thank you. And then release them, then go deal with the new thing. So, like, what does that look like? I guess in my reality is like sometimes people use affirmation work to deal with something, like eliminating belief. Um, let's say, I'm trying to think of one. Um, you know, I'm a healthy raw vegan. you know, if you could go to some kind of thing and someone's like, okay, just work with affirmations, do mirror work, like whatever, like just say the positive thing, but
Mm-hmm.
without actually looking at what's trying to get my attention. I'm actually not really accepting it. It's like a really subtle way of aversion, actually. So actually doesn't not deal with it. And it actually, so if I can give you the example of this. Anger, the ancestral anger.
Yeah.
I was fasting. I'm not going to go into all the details, but I was fasting during a vision quest. I had no book. I couldn't move outside of 3 meters squared. I had no food to distract myself. I couldn't talk. I was in a vow of silence.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had a concept of myself as a happy, nice person, and people who are mean are mean. Like people who say bad things are mean,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't know I was doing this. I just thought I wanted to be loving and nice. And after the third day, like all of a sudden, all this anger came up in me, and it was just like super super hardcore anger, like so angry, and I had no idea what it was about, and I didn't realize it, but by sitting with it and instead of like pushing it away, because it was a lifetime of anger bottled up, and I was in my 30s at that time. I
Mm-hmm.
I had a lifetime of anger. I had judged, pushed away because I thought it was bad, and by letting it arise through me, and then realizing like this is not a bad thing. Like I'm not a bad person because I feel anger. I'm gonna ask it what it wants. What is it showing me? And through the whole process, I realized it is my ally. It's an arrow pointing me towards something I want. Like at first, it only could show me the thing I didn't want. It only could show me, I hate this thing, this situation. It's happened my whole life. This person is horrible. Like, I hate this person, you know, like I hate this situation. So angry. And like that's the shadow part of it. But if you flip it around, like what's the opposite of that? Like the truth of that is like I just deeply wanted connection with that person. I wanted to have a present loving relationship with that person. I wanted to spend more time with that person. And so the shadow of it was anger showing me rage, and then it was showing me the loving message behind it, which was the part I was underneath. That shadow was another shadow of the fear of being vulnerable and asking for it and being accountable, and then going to that person and saying, I was really hurt by this and I really want to spend more time with you. Like, will you, you know, and like being open to rejection. And so it's like there's all these like subtle layers of shadow that can go even behind the other shadow or the anger or the feeling. And if I hadn't done that, I would have just gone to the affirming, you know, I'm a happy, nice being that's loving. But like I would have judged this, I would have judged the anger still, and it still would have been bottled up, and it still would have been manifest as unrest and dis-ease in my life. And so I see this all the time, like people, let's work with affirmations and stuff, but it's like we need to look at shadows and we need to love our shadow. It's sharing us something that's, like you said, what did you call it? The gem,
a jewel.
The jewel. So without dwelling on it either.
Or attaching to it, identifying with it, having anger become your identity.
And so like when I was young, I used to be so afraid of depression and like all these darker things, and I would journal and I'd try to get it out because I wasn't verbal about it, so I would write, but then it would just make me suck into this downward spiral because I was dwelling in it too. So this could go where we get into methods and tools, but when we fixate on it too much, or if we totally bypass and avoid it by not even consciously judging it and just avoiding it and going into the light, then that can be also harmful.
I felt like tears well up in my eye when you were sharing that example, and like my heart, like I feel like you were really speaking to something that I experienced as well, like with your specific example, with the anger, because I did try to bypass. I've tried to bypass this before. I've tried to deal with things, and like the shadow work was insufficient that I was doing. And then, I did a spiritual bypass. I straight up did. I went and like meditated hours and hours and hours. And I was like, I'm just going to meditate and like feel bliss all the time. And the anger was eventually came up for me hurting myself badly physically, the physical injury, because I wasn't really sitting and like facing the negative emotions and the shadow and like that pain exactly that you were speaking to with the anger, and then beneath that really just longing for connection with another person, and then beneath that like the vulnerability to like have to say like I just want to connect with you, like can we do that? But I did try to spiritually bypass, and I think a lot of people do, like with the best of intentions do, because it's presented as like, oh, this is the way, right? And like out of ignorance or naivete, like you go that path, or it just seems like something different to try, right? But yeah, I think a lot of that anger that I started looking at it, I started working with it, but that's something that kept coming back around until I really went into it, looked at it in the eye, like you said, you know, I see you fully, like, thank you for showing me, like, help me understand you and heal you, you know, fully make contact. And we all have this space to accommodate that too.
Yeah.
Like, there is enough space to accommodate any of the feelings you're feeling, you know, and you can sit with them, you can face them fully. All of this. I see we have some questions.
Yeah. I just wanted to add before we go into the question that your piece of compassion, this is where self-compassion comes in, because we're human and this is a practice. And you know, I may have given an example right now where I didn't bypass, but I too have bypassed so many times. Like, we all do it. Like, I'm not going to say that as a blanket statement that we all do it 100% of the time, but we're human. We have, you know, our cycles of awareness, and in knowing that sometimes we trip and fall, it's just like learning, oh wow, okay, sometimes I trip and fall, I'm compassionate with myself, like, it's okay, I didn't do it perfectly now. And just going back to awareness, like, meaning seeing it, and the equanimity piece of like being able to see it without judgment. So like, yeah, like if we're meditating, you know, I mean, there's many different types of meditations and intentions of meditation, but the one I've learned is presence plus equanimity equals awareness, like through Vipassana. So like, presence is just seeing something, actually seeing it and being with it and feeling it. And then the equanimity is the not judging it, just being able to see, you know, each piece or like every point of the body, every emotional wave flowing through, or the whatever the physical thing that's happening around us, and then seeing it and then being able to let it go without aversion or attachment, without grasping it, or without, you know, wanting to hold on to the situation. This is like my happiness, you know, or that's my unhappiness, get away, you know, being able to really notice like, oh wow, I wanted to go into bliss when actually I was feeling anger. Or for me, you know, like I was judging anger as weak, or only weak people get angry. And that's kind of I don't know, the name that I use on Facebook, celebrate the spectrum of being, like really like it's being brilliant. Able to hold it and let it go, and like see it all with love and presence and awareness and equanimity. And so we do have you were right, we do have
I want to say one more thing. One thing that came up for me while you were sharing that, and then finishing my thought of the spiritual bypass, a lot of times I think I have spiritually bypassed when I don't have a safe container to do the shadow work, and like the importance of creating that safe container, and like removing yourself. Sometimes I was in an environment at this meditation place that was so deeply repressing sexuality and femininity and like other things, that like it really was not a safe space for me to fully sit with myself, because all these other triggers that I wasn't even fully aware of were happening. So a lot of times, like, people are so inundated by this stuff that's just going straight down into shadow, that of course you want to escape into like meditation or bliss, or whatever the thing is. And the tool that can be a support maybe later on when you have a safe container, at the time, can be the bypass tool in the present moment when the safe container is not there.
And this is an important thing, because sometimes bypassing does serve love. Like, if it's not in the safe container or the right time, you know, and that's something someone has to feel inside. It's actually an act of compassion, self-compassion, and safety to choose to not deal with it in that moment. And I can, you know, like we were talking about in the beginning, you know, you can reignite a trauma. So like, if you had abuse in your life, or you went through something traumatic, like if you're eating a raw diet, that talking about creating a safe container, if you are going on this lifestyle and diet, it's important for you to in me, I think,
Yeah.
all of us, to create our home space and our
Yes.
the place we go to recharge, be a safe container to feel, to move through things. It's our responsibility. I don't want to project on anyone. It's my responsibility to create my safe container here, to be able to recharge and to be able to kind of do some of this work. And I think it's important to also mention that it's not something to do all the time. Process it. Over processing
Yeah.
can re-traumatize someone. And like I said, dwelling too much on like
Yeah.
fixing something, or even just like dwelling on it too much could it's like it's the opposite of being equanimous. It's like yeah, so like it's the opposite of releasing it too. So
Yes.
everything in balance, everything in right timing, and that's something someone has to feel, I think, and know ourselves, right? Like know when it's the right time, and it's okay. Like if you need to go to cook vegan, or you need to watch a movie sometimes, or like, and some of the work that I've gone to, and this is going to go into a first technique I'll just say really fast, is that like we find our happiness outside of ourselves, and that creates suffering and pain, and to really like go inwardly to our own center. Don't put our center of happiness in your partner, in your best friend, in your food, in your hobby. Like your center, this is my truth. My center of my happiness is truly in me and my higher self and my spiritual connection. And I'm not saying I remember this all the time. This is my practice. But I had to live the opposite to realize that. And I've placed my happiness outside of me all the time. And when I do that, I feel really off. And going in, remembering that, like if I am feeling triggered or in those moments, doing some kind of practice that feeds my connection with my spiritual connection, or my concept of something bigger than me, or my higher self, me inwardly. And that actually stops the coping mechanism. Like, so I'll distract myself with anything, but like if I don't remember that core truth, that I bring my center of happiness back in me, then I will have to go to these coping mechanisms. And they'll just keep replacing each other, whether it's movies or food or a person or a place or a thing.
Shape shifting.
Yeah.
So can you repeat your truth one more time? I loved it. Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Because I'm just gonna be totally transparent here. I've had codependency issues, so like I'll get really needy or clingy, or put my happiness onto a partner or another person, or empathic, so like I'm feeling the other person more than I feel myself. And it kind of created this meditation visualization where I imagine my happiness as a ball, and I physically imagine what I've placed it in. Like, let's say it's a person in front of me. I'm super like, so I'll imagine like this golden ball floating from that thing that I placed my happiness into. I'll imagine it floating back into my solar plexus. And I tell myself my center of happiness is in me and my spiritual connection. And then I feel like my rod, my crown chakra, or like my whole line. I don't want to be woo woo whatever for anyone, but it's just
your technique.
This is the technique that works for me, and it's like what helps you remind you that your happiness is not outside of yourself. How can you do some kind of visualization or mantra, or reword it so that you remember your center of happiness is with you and your spiritual relationship, your spiritual connection. I know another woman who just my mentor, she puts her hand on her heart and she says, I am safe. I am here with you, with God. I'm not alone, and you can do it in so many ways. Some people say the Maha mantra. Some people invoke a Reiki symbol or prayer, or but whatever feeds authentically that truth, because will help with bypassing anything and addictions to out external seeking of well-being. Yeah, my center is in me and my spiritual connection is what works for me. My
center is in me and my
spiritual connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then shadow work, you're just going to reclaim those aspects of yourself that are lost, that you can't see, and feel more whole and more happy. The shadow work feeds the happiness too, like the remembrance of that too. I think so strongly. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that.
So 4C13 says, can you feel that kind of anger while eating? I can have trouble feeling these things while eating. Yeah. So typically I mean, you can talk on this too, Taylor. I'll just say really fast that I don't try to do this kind of work while I'm eating. That to me, that would be kind of distracting sensations. Do you have anything? I feel like.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I eat, it's like I'm present, I eat, I pray over my food, I'm enjoying that food. Anything that's not me eating, like I'll notice my mental activity and be like, okay, I'm not present, I'm not eating right now. Like when I'm eating, like I try to just be eating. I don't even like talking to other people, frankly. Like it's hard for me to eat and like even, eat with someone else around because I want to be present in the conversation and I want to be present in the food. It's hard for me to do both. So no, when eating, that is not a time for emotional processing for me. Yeah, that's a separate practice.
And if I was feeling that angry, I don't think I would eat. I think I would want to, if it was like very visceral, I would stop eating and just, I tend to journal when I'm feeling something very strong. Let's go into our what you do, Taylor, for like, what do you do when you feel off in life or like a shadow's knocking at your door? I mean, there's so many things and but what works for you personally?
Yeah, I'll share now because I started my shadow work journey with therapy. That was really like the first thing, psychotherapy of various kinds, and then 12-step work, and then lots of different meditation and visualization practices. Many, many, many. I have done one kind of similar to what you're saying with like the golden orb, and there's so many cool ones. Visualization and mantra, very, very, very helpful. A lot of journaling as well. But really in the last couple of months, I've like distilled it down into like, what is my process? Like, how do I do this? What's the most effective, potent shadow work in real time? Let's go. Having an intention. So this is what's really, just been amazing. I wrote this down, so I think I might just read what I wrote. So
please.
I like stay on track.
Yeah.
I'll probably be more concise if I just read it. But all right. So we got a crystals falling on the floor now. They're like, we're getting grounded.
They're like, we're opening the space for this.
Yeah, they are. They're so funny. They're in my notebook. I have like so many things on this table, like y'all don't even know. Okay, so intention, underline, like this is step one basically. I said yes to my calling in the jungle, and I said yes to surrender all aspects of my tailored personality that do not serve and align with the fulfillment of my life mission.
I love that. I just want to pause 1 second and let that sink in. Can you say that sentence again?
Yes. So it starts with number one, intention, all caps, underline. It's important. I said yes to my calling in the jungle, and I said yes to surrender all aspects of my tailored personality that do not serve and align with the fulfillment of my life mission. Each day, I continue to say yes to merging with my authentic self and letting the rest fall away. So it's not just like a one time, I intended it. It's like every single day I reaffirm and choose again that this is what I'm on board with. Number 2, activate Reiki and get curious and ask Reiki to help me understand and heal whatever is coming up. So this is like when I notice the anger and I'm like, okay, I notice the anger, I become aware, I activate my Reiki, I get curious and ask the Reiki to help me like see the truth and heal it.
So can I ask you one thing about that?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, what do you do when those pieces of resistance come towards your fullest expression? So this is the second step, third. It's like,
because it comes up. Something comes up.
Those pieces are the shadow, and they're coming up. And for you, what works is like invoking Reiki and asking for it to clear it and help you see the messages.
Not clear it. Help me understand it. And heal it.
Okay. Important. Those are important differentiations because those words are different.
Yeah.
Not clearing and getting away, but
no, I'm not bypassing it. I want to understand it because also in the understanding, then I can articulate like this. I can share it with others. I can help explain and bring more light because that's part of my purpose.
I love that.
Yeah. So, and then after I've activated Reiki, I've gotten curious about it, I've asked Reiki for that assistance, I just go about life. I don't project some timeline, okay, Reiki, like, let's go right now, I need it now. It's like, I just go about life. And then what happens is I'll receive a download, like an information packet in my brain in the form of thoughts that just start coming in, they start resonating, things start making sense. It's like pieces of the puzzle are coming together. And it's insightful. It's insightful and it feels like truth. That's when I know that I need to go journal at my earliest convenience. This might be happening out on a walk or, somewhere where I can't journal, but I'm like, okay, we're going to sit down with this and see what comes out. Because I'm like you, I'm like a writer, and that really helps.
See it, but some people are audio and it works for them to talk it out or something.
Yeah, for me it's writing, and it's really writing it, right? Like physical, not just typing it, I find. So then at my earliest convenience, I journal to really spell it out and access the full depth of the transmission. Then my intuition knows how to use Reiki to then clear and heal from there. Usually it's a combination of energy work, because I can like perceive how it all works on the energetic level, and maybe it's that anger package, and I have a specific technique, a Reiki technique that I use to clear that energetic imprint, and then also do some ancestral work, clearing it like back through time, forward through time, space, everyone who's ever held it, that kind of stuff. And then also it'll have some like real life things going on. Less woo-woo. The Reiki empowers me to have the strength to usually like have a difficult conversation or put myself in some kind of situation that creates temporary discomfort, in various shapes and forms. And the Reiki will help me, just like it empowers my authentic self. Like, I can do this. I'm going to show up and like communicate from a space of love and nonviolence with like connective intentions, not blaming, and have like a real compassionate healing conversation that also respects any kind of boundaries is in the awareness of any boundaries I need to set, and keeps me safe too, right? If that person is like not receptive to what I have to share, or I realize I'm speaking to their pain body and they can't hear me, then I know like, okay, I need to back off and just like take care of myself. And I tried. Um, in any case, the temporary discomfort or the uncomfortable conversation is always, and I will say always, in my experience, extremely worth the temporary discomfort, because it creates this total liberation of whatever it was that the shadow, it liberates and clears and heals the shadow. And it's like, it has been worth it for me. I will say, at least in these past few weeks of me doing this work, it's been like, wow, this is shadow work in real time. Like I've honed in my process. It's intention, activate Reiki and get curious, ask Reiki to help me understand and heal whatever's coming up, go about my life, receive a download, journal, and then trust my intuition to utilize Reiki in the way that's going to heal this, and also navigate any kind of like just in-person interactions or uncomfortable situations I need to be in, with Reiki empowering me to go for it. Like authentic self activated, I got this, I can do this, and keep myself safe and heal it. So that's my process now. Finally got it.
Mhm.
Figured
Let's
it out.
celebrate that with the breath. Woo. Mm-hmm. That's really beautiful, Taylor.
Thank you.
Thanks for opening your heart and being vulnerable and sharing something that's like very special that I know means a lot to you.
It does. It's been like to the point where the shadow work is like fun, actually. You know, it's cool. It's like this whole discovery process, and it not only is, you know, drastically improving my relationship to myself and my life, but it's like it's then circles back and empowers that intention of my calling. So and then it's creating all of this fulfillment, and yeah, it's definitely, it's like a wave too. When we do this work ourselves, I truly believe, you know, not only are we healing ourselves, but that healing is rippling out far and wide, farther and wider across time and space than many of us, you know, can even comprehend. So it matters. It matters so much.
I'm going to ask a facetious question. So, Taylor, does this even work when you're craving cooked food?
Um,
Like
I'll
if you're
let,
craving a coping mechanism that
yeah,
wants to distract you, like
yeah.
how do you still use this method, or would it be a different method?
For me, it's like I'll let you know when I crave cooked food.
Mm-hmm.
That's not coming up. Trying to think.
Or in the past, like, because
Yeah,
I mean that I'm trying to like I guess with the question,
yeah.
not my intention isn't really to be facetious, but it was like I totally hear you, and then like how do we tie this to again our intention with the raw food lifestyle? I know we've said these limiting beliefs can take us to coping mechanisms like eating cooked food or
Yeah,
desensitizing the sensations that come up.
yeah,
Is there anything you want to add in specific, like with the raw food lifestyle, like,
yeah.
or I don't even know what I'm trying to ask, but I feel like it's
Yeah,
like,
I think I
you
can
get it?
speak to that. What happened was this. this whole process came to light recently for me, distilled down and very clear, because I had observed that behavior in myself, where the whole anger thing I was talking about, the anger, the core beliefs, the depression, anxiety, triggering to like eat more food than I needed. It was still raw food, but it was
Yeah.
still, it was like, it felt like it was a little bingey. It was like a little borderline bingey, like I'm kind of stuffing myself, I'm numbing myself a bit right now.
Yeah.
So it was the observation of that full cycle that helped me, um, yeah, like receive the download and work out this process for myself. And since that's happened, I feel like I've, one of the, you know, surprise bonuses of it, the surprise gains is trusting myself even more with food, with
Mm.
intuitive eating, and with like sticking to certain parameters, but also like tuning into my body and like knowing when I've had enough, know when I like actually do need a bit more. And yeah, like a thing that's also being released for me too is yeah, really trusting my relationship with food and body and raw vegan as in the healthiest way. Like I've been offered by my guides to really release any kind of disordered mentality or like food obsession or anything, like fully clear my practice of a raw vegan lifestyle of any kind of eating disorder energy. That has been on offer for me from my Reiki guide team. And they're really like, we will fully help you heal this and clear this. So it's still, I think it's still maybe slightly in process, but
Yeah.
it continues to be feeling like every day a bit more trust, a bit more comfort, a bit more like this is fully harmonic, this is fully compassionate, this is fully loving, like 100%. And as a result of fully releasing this eating disorder, food obsessive kind of mentality, you know, binge eating, overeating as a coping mechanism, I've received such a gift in so much more mental space, so much more emotional space, so much more space in my sacred container to receive really awesome downloads, to be more in this purpose and this calling that I said yes to.
Yeah.
And yeah, like hear my guides more clearly, all kinds of things.
It's
Um,
like you can actually use your energy. So this person's asking even on raw, and yes, she's eating raw. And so it's
mhm.
like when you clear away the energy that's being fed, or when you clear the energy that's feeding these limiting beliefs and patterns, then that energy is freed up and you can put it towards the things that actually serve the love in your life.
Yeah.
And to you, that's like developing your offerings and giving more and different courses and things that you're offering right now. And we see it, and it's really beautiful to see. I feel like you are the flower flowering that you're offering. And what you said is really helpful. I know I didn't ask it in like a very tactful way because I was like, I couldn't
Fine.
articulate what I was
No
saying.
filter, Tina. No
No, but I'm
filter.
just naming it like it was a little bit like that. But you told, like, what you just shared shows how this shows up on a raw food lifestyle. Like it's clearing out energy that could be on any level, because raw foods isn't just like, oh, I'm eating raw. Like you could also overeat, or you could undereat, or you
Yes.
could not actually be
Yes.
present with your sleeping patterns or your
Yes.
hydration or whatever it is in your relationships. And so when we talk about this lifestyle, it means all of that. And like it's you it was really helpful to hear that. I think how, and it's not just you did this thing, right? You didn't just do the shadow work once and then it's like
Mm-mm.
showing up. What I heard you say is deepening, and every time you show up with this specific practice, it's like really helping your trust develop and your awareness, your love, your energy towards the things you love. And it's just going deeper every time. It's a practice. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's not like here's the recipe and you put it and you make it and then there's the dish. Like,
Right.
it's
No.
like, but it does. It's just like honing it and deepening it. And yeah, I really love that.
Yeah. 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 It's definitely a practice. It's definitely a process. And I think, yeah, that's definitely something I'm interested in clearing. There's a lot of people come to this lifestyle. This is part of the raw vegan shadow, right? A lot of people come to this lifestyle like with eating disorder energy too. I know I did. And that eating disorder energy can manifest in the practice and application of the raw vegan lifestyle. And as you said, in the forms of like the under eating or the binge eating, like a lot of binge eating is like practiced and taught and held up. And I think, neither one is necessarily correct. It is like finding this like intuitive, harmonic, tuned into your body and what feels right and what's really, really nourishing. So I'm definitely interested in continuing that process myself. And I know in healing any of that eating disorder energy in myself, then I can serve at a higher level and not contribute to additional eating disorder energy in this beautiful raw food lifestyle community, that does have so much to offer and is so on track in so many ways, right? Yeah. Yeah, I love what A Meditative Journey says. Who else feels like the world needs a lot of compassion, peace, and healing energies in these times?
I do.
Yeah.
Raise your hand or put a yes if you do too. I think that's really
Or a
beautiful.
heart or a
Yeah,
flower.
that's so nice. I
Yeah.
love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I guess I could share a little bit about
Your process.
some techniques
Your
or things that I've
process.
done. Yeah, my process. Um, it's funny because actually, what I love that you wrote that down and got very specific and actually shared the steps of it
Mm-hmm.
and it's awesome that that's what's working right now. And I feel like that's a key thing to tune into. It's like what serves love now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
For me, that has shifted over the years, and I've had different things that served me looking at my shadow. And sometimes it's alone, and sometimes it's not. And the alone work could look like me journaling. And I've created a game of it where I talk with my higher self and then have this like I call it inner dialogue. And it's like a way, it's me talking to my higher self and role playing. And at first I had to fake it. It felt very contrived, and it felt like I had to pretend, I had to pretend this voice was there.
Yeah.
and I was like, kids do it, why can't I do it? I don't feel it, it doesn't, so I just pretended there's this all-knowing, all-loving voice of full, pure, divine, loving wisdom that knows what to do exactly in the right moment, in every now moment, and has the now answers. Mm-hmm. And so I pretended that that's this thing, and I would write it with a different pen or a different, in all capitals, and then one would be all lowercase the lower, the me now is the lowercase, and then it was just like this culmination of a bunch of different practices I've done and learned, and I was combining, like, I know like some people hate or don't like nonviolent communication, and for me it really served me on my path because it made me become allies with my emotions and use them as the arrows too, and really get behind, why am I feeling this, what do I need, how can I request, can I control it, or like, is it something inside of myself I can control, is it my mindset, and something I can create around me, or is it something outside of myself that I need to request from somebody else? And really learning that differentiation process of like, is this something I can control? Because I could be like, gosh, everybody sucks around me, like I hate my life, da da da. You know, if that's my, you know, is this something I'm controlling? Is it my mindset? Is it me viewing everyone else around me as the enemy and I'm afraid of them? You know, that's something I can control and change my mindset with. So and then if it's outside of me, like, oh, actually I'm looking for more intimacy in my relationship and I need to ask something, I can give it myself, and then I can ask without attachment. And it's just like this whole journaling process has really helped me get in tune and really become an ally more with my own self. And I call it like team me.
Team me?
Yeah, like me, like all the voices in my head,
Yes.
even the one that's angry, even the one that's like the
Yeah.
darkest voice. And instead of viewing all of team me, like imagine you were a basketball team, and you know, you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? So my weakest link is the one that's like the pouty one in the corner who wants to like isolate, or the one who's like against the world. You know, how can I lovingly like deal with it in a way that creates more harmony, you know? And so like I let whatever voices come out, and then I kind of talk with them, and then so, you know, sometimes it's my I learned through the other way that like sometimes it's my higher voice, my higher self asking me the questions instead of me, the little me, asking the bigger, you know, because normally it's like, what do I do? What do I do? You know, to this like person on a pedestal, and actually my higher self wanted to empower the little me, you know? And so it's a really, it was really interesting. Like, actually, I just want to go out and, you know, lay on my back and do nothing and be in the sun. But, you know, something in me was judging it. So it's like really learning all these aspects about myself and getting in tune with them, like you said, with awareness and non-judging. And so that's one way of shadow work. I work with my emotions when I'm feeling very intense emotions. I've also done it on a daily basis, like where I just did it every morning I woke up and like wrote every morning I woke up and got down like 2 to 3 pages and let it out, you know?
The inner dialogue style?
Yeah. Show up for myself. Like to me, because I have a pattern of self-avoidance. My shadow is self-avoidance and fixating on others. So if I neglect myself, you know, it's like me showing self-love. Like I'm worth it. I'm worth quality time alone. I'm worth showing up on the page and loving myself and listening to myself and getting my needs met and becoming an adult and self-parenting and things like that. So it's like one thing I do. But there's so many, like I have to learn how to, I don't have to, I've learned over time that the shadow work will come when you're ready for it. And for me, and it will come in different forms. Like, so one time I did a family constellation, and that was life altering, you know, or I did.
What is that?
It's like, it's almost like role playing where there's a facilitator and you don't even tell people who they are, but you just say, they position you physically, and then they say, okay, this is the male energy in my life or whatever, or female. And it's so crazy. This person embodied exactly what I needed, like that happens in my life. And I didn't tell them anything about the person they were representing. And then yeah, and then I totally went into reaction mode without even knowing it. And then like almost wanted to flee the whole process, which was my other pattern. And because I was facilitated in a safe space with people who've done it, I got to see one of my darkest, deepest patterns that was holding me back in life. And it was so altering that afterwards I went into like a bliss state. Like my whole body felt tingly and I felt super present. And it was like my whole body's cellular structure was restructuring. Like, and I was in a pure state of awareness, like with love, you know. And yeah, so anyway, that's a huge, powerful tool with the right
Wow.
facilitators at the right time. And, circling, doing circle work with people has really helped me see my blind spots.
Yeah.
I sat in circle for a few years with this group in a little bit south of me, and I don't even know how to describe it, but
Yeah.
sharing
Try.
story. Yeah, I'll try. Sharing story, usually with a prompt. Only sharing when your heart beats fast, stepping forward if you're not normally the one to do that, or stepping back if you're always the one sharing, like
Uh-huh.
learning to gauge, and
Yeah.
when you're supposed to share because your heart starts going.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a totally love, and we made agreements before we started the circle what would hold trust, obviously, like not sharing outside of the circle the intimate details and like things like that. And it just, hearing stories have been life transforming for me, and it helped me see the blind spots I couldn't see. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's so many more tools, but I feel like one time I did this teal swan one.
Oh yeah.
I forget what she called it right now. It's like parts work, I think.
Yeah.
um I've done many different ones, and I think they all serve, and you'll know they're right for you if you feel deeply attracted to it but also afraid of it, like
Yeah.
usually the thing that, even ceremony, vision questing has been, I say this, vision questing has been the number one shadow work for me. It's
Mm-hmm.
been my biggest master and teacher in my whole life. And basically it's part of my path with the red road, and it's something you're invited to. And I was invited to go to this place and serve the first year, and then if you're aligned with it and they invite you again, then you can do it. And so you sit, there's different branches and different families that do it, and basically you're there to remember who you are and to pray and to be with great spirit. And you fast, and everybody's formula is different, but um, I don't want to be self-aggrandizing or anything. What I do want to share is what serves right now. And what serves is that fasting and holistic, not just fasting, because you can go to a fasting center and do a water fast. Fasting in holistic context of spiritual practice um, is what I deeply care about and has transformed my life. And fasting in prayer, in silence, without, cutting out distraction, and that means for hours or days or even week. I've done it for up to 2 weeks. It was in the forest alone, and just no phones, no books, nothing to write with. You're just with the clothes you're wearing. You're in silence, and in anything you've been running away from in life. Or I'll put it in the me context. Anything I was running away from in life will show up.
Yeah. Oh,
So
for
it's
sure.
like, so you're there. I was there, and it's like this. I was in. I keep saying you. I was in a 3 meter by 3 meter marked space.
Uh-huh.
I'm not running away. I need to confront my things, otherwise I'll fall apart. And actually, falling apart is maybe what's necessary.
Yes.
Because there's so much
Yes.
fight. There's so much fight, and it's like that. It's something. Everything that I didn't even know was inside of me showed up, and it's to me, if I could name a few tools that I hope humanity remembers for 7 or more generations to come, vision questing and community is the tool that I would like to pay forward to humanity as a tool to tap deeply into who we truly are and heal. It's like such a rite of passage that's so beautiful and has touched my life, and I hold sacred. And if you are ever invited to be supporter in that context and you resonate with it and it's aligned with you, I highly suggest to take that invitation, because it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful to see grown men cry and open their heart with soft eyes. And when, you know, that's the tip of the iceberg. Is just like this cut. I guess when you just, it just comes down to it. It's a beautiful, I feel like cutting out distractions and being in silence with ourselves and our spiritual connection is, it matters. And
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's so healing. And it's like,
yeah.
I feel like the last thing I want to share about that is that, I feel like I was saying about the fight, you know, that we have in us and I have in me. It's a human thing to want to feel good and to want the love. But it's funny because the mind judges things as bad, you know? So that's why we're avoiding stuff. But all of it is love. All of it is love. And that's easy for me to talk this, and to really embody it 24/7 is like another thing. I'm just super humbled by this practice and prayer. And I just, I think we can do it in little ways in our life, like just sitting out in nature for half an hour and not, you know, be quiet or still and not have a phone. You know, I sometimes do that. And
yeah, it's a good micro version.
Meditating, you know, so even with the eyes closed and just accepting feeling as it is. And, you know, that's our inner nature, and then being in our outer nature. And I think nature, like the natural nature of trees and the earth and the, you know, the ocean.
Be in the elements.
The elements are so healing because we are it. And when we let ourselves be in it without the man-made infrastructure around us, like the phones and the screens and everything, when we let our energy rest, when we let our body electrically like ground with the earth and harmonize, and we tune in and are a fuller or our fullest or fuller expression of what our true nature is. And it's I feel like that's a really awesome medicine, like that we all can get access to. I mean, just go out and
nature,
hug a tree, you know, like barefoot walk, or go on the beach, or go where you can, or even sit in your inner nature. And
it's the safe container. Nature is the safe external container.
Yeah.
Your body is the safe internal container.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With right thought, right
practice,
right intention.
Yes.
And I think the only thing that's quote unquote right is love. So I mean, like, just with coming from that and doing our best, you know, because but yeah, that's, I think, the biggest technique that's totally changed my life.
I got chills when you're talking about it, tears welling up in my eyes, heart lighting up, and just like, truth, the power of. I've never vision quested in the way you're describing, and what you're saying about water fasting too. I had this whole realization about water fasting lately, that it is like a shamanic initiation, right? In water fasting, like a plant medicine ceremony or something else, it's all set and setting what you receive from it. So you go water fast at True North Health Center, very health medical clinic, you can have physical healing happen, right? You can heal your body. You go do water fasting in a different context, you get physical healing, but you like, ooh, like you're saying, with the shadow work, with the remembering who you are, with seeing everything clearly, with seeing yourself clearly, with connecting with nature, with the great spirit on a totally different level. It really is, that set and setting. But those two, mention. Yeah, I want to hear more from you about, I think we need to do this maybe in a tea time or somewhere, like vision
Yeah.
questing. I want to talk about, maybe interview you about that, because I don't have experience with that specifically.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think fasting, we got to do fasting eventually, because
Yeah.
whoa,
Yeah. Yeah.
really
Let us know
powerful.
if you guys want to hear about fasting and
Yeah, yeah.
cleansing,
Vision.
juicing, things like that,
Mhm.
or even in different contexts. But I just want to share just right now, since I did share about this right now, I feel vulnerable. I wanted to mention I normally don't talk about this, like especially
Okay.
publicly.
Yeah.
It's something I hold very dear to my heart, and it's something sacred. And I think that I feel like it serves right now because we're
Mhm.
talking about shadow work, and it's something that has served me on that path. And oh, you said something else I wanted to mention about.
Water
Shoot.
fasting?
Oh yeah, water fasting. So, and just as a not disclaimer, but to add on, like you can have those spiritual things happen at a clinic.
You
It could.
could. Yeah.
And on top of that, when we create containers that are conducive to honor the holistic, your mind, body, heart, and spirit, which a lot of them do mention things like that, even if you do go to like a fasting center.
Hmm.
Like I've gone to one where he did talk a little bit holistically, but like when
Okay.
it's really supported,
Hmm.
I felt the difference. Like I feel the difference. It helps me, my attention and focus go there. And it's something I'm very, very passionate about and has served on my healing path too. So like it can't, like everything is spiritual. We're always
Yeah,
having a spiritual
for
experience.
sure.
And sometimes, like you were saying, like there's conducive things that
Yeah.
really support or other
Amplify.
amplify other aspects to come out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I sincerely, deeply appreciate the fact that you shared about specifically vision questing and the water fasting, because I know you don't typically share about that. And I really appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing your truth, because I know you've shared with me privately how helpful and beneficial it's been, but to share it with this tea time community, the tea to the four community. Um, I really appreciate you going there and bringing that forward into the light. That's, yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Is there anything else that anyone want that you want to add, or anyone has questions about, or
I'm
anything you'd
feeling
like to?
complete. I'm feeling
Yeah.
complete. I'm feeling
Yeah.
nourished. I'm feeling like, yeah, if anyone has a question or a comment or something they want to share, there's a bit of space for that. But I think, wrapping up tea time. Hey, Nate.
Hey,
Love
Nate.
you too. Thanks for coming over.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
You didn't
what?
miss it. We're gonna post it up too, but it's nice to see you guys.
That's right. Segue. This will be on my IGTV at Joyful
Nice.
Raw Life on Instagram, as well as my YouTube channel, Taylor A. Norris, as well as Tina, if she wants to eventually post this on her YouTube channel, maybe she will. I keep pushing her to.
I know, right?
I'm like, back it up.
Well, in the future, my YouTube is Tina Cseuz, same thing as my
Yeah.
Instagram at Tina Cseuz, and that's Cseuz. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
I felt nervous, actually. I'm gonna be totally honest. I felt a little bit nervous about this one. I don't know why. And I was super excited. I was like so excited because I knew it was such a juicy topic, and I knew we've both delved into this a lot, as well as I'm sure all of you, because like if you're interested in this, you're probably on the raw food path or interested in the raw food path, and these things are relevant to all of us. And yeah, in the future, don't be shy. Like definitely ask more questions or make more comments. Like this is kind of like a conversational platform for us to like
Yeah.
talk and all connect. And I'm just grateful that we're all doing this, and can't wait for the next one.
Me too. Yeah, I was super excited about this too. Yo, last night I like didn't want to go to sleep. I was, I was like thinking about it, writing about it.
Yeah.
Just yeah, like excited like a little kid, and yeah, like planning my morning out to make sure I was ready. And then I like flubbed the whole intro and stuff, but clearly didn't
No, you
prepare in
didn't. I
some
loved
ways,
it.
but I
It's fun.
prepared in others. But yeah, I think this one is it's kind of like the what you're describing in the circle when your heart's fluttering a lot, it's you gotta share. And like this topic specifically, I felt like okay, I need to make sure I have like at least 2 hours in case we go long. We went long.
I know we
This
went long.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
important. This is really
Yeah.
important. I appreciate Tina, you being like a co-creator of this container, and every single person who came and every single person who watches this after on IGTV as well as on YouTube. I appreciate you
Yeah.
being here and being open and willing to go here and bring light to the shadow. Because this is
Yeah.
important work right now. And the more we as individuals can engage in it, the more the shadow of the collective of the earth, it heals, and there's more light on this planet and there's more love on this planet. So we're all doing our parts, even if it feels like, oh, you're just looking at yourself. Like it matters. It really matters.
I feel like it's the crux of healing and the crux of what we all need, whether you're on a raw food lifestyle or not. And it's what creates harmony, and what I feel like fundamentally is love. And when we see things with love and hold it, yeah, it all starts there. And it's I feel like it's expansive on all
Yeah.
fronts. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Taylor. TayTay.
Thank you, TT. Much love. Namaste.
Thank you. Love you all. Have a
Mwah.
beautiful day.
Bye.
Bye bye.